Damn, I hate those glasses. When can I start shaving? So my family's not taking responsibility. Um, they're not taking responsibility for my situation, which is very sad and explains every problem I have in my life. My family, my whole life, I've been thinking, oh, I'm working for my family. They direct my career off a cliff repeatedly, get out of the house and get a job. So I realize another thing I'm dealing with is my father is working class British, like low class British. I actually think he grew up on the street. Um, his father died when he was like 13, and I think his mother was institutionalized. Don't quote me on this. He's very secretive about his upbringing and his past. So I don't really know too much about my father's past. I don't know if that's a narcissist thing or if that's some emotional problem he has or something. Because I would be totally open with my kids about my where I come from and my history. I think I've said everything on YouTube. So I can't relate to this secrecy. I don't know. But there's a lot of shame and bottled up emotional problems with his upbringing. And oh yeah, so apparently Britain is a class system. A class. There's like a social hierarchy that's much more defined in Britain. Is that the right term? Britain, UK, England. I don't know. What's the difference? I know. That's horrible. I know they get offended by that. But like in England, they have like the monarch, right? They have the monarchy. They don't, so they have. There's this idea of like stay in your lane, or the tall poppy gets chopped or something. Where like, and that's why you see no innovation coming out of England. I mean, obviously there's Oxford and there's some innovation, but it's like it all comes to the United States eventually. Because in England, you're not like the poor, they hate the rich, and there's this idea that there's no social mobility, and so that's why Andrew Tate is such a outlier. But in England, there's like this idea that if you're born to a poor family, then you are a poor child, and that's your place in the society. So you shouldn't be studying computer science or business if you're poor. You should be learning how to, wait tables or something. So, and I imagine the school systems, the government school systems in England, I would imagine they really reinforce this at an early age, that punishing children for being interested in things that are outside of their emotionally comfortable, predefined, socially defined social standing. So that's why you see no like amazing innovation coming out of the UK. It's just their society is just very different from the American values of like freedom, free speech. You come here. That's why everyone comes to the United States to get rich. Because you can't get rich. The idea of poor people becoming rich, that doesn't. In England, it's not like that. It's like if you're born poor, you stay poor, and it's like the crabs in the bucket. The people around you will reinforce this, and it's a strange psychological. I'll be interested to understand the psychology of this better. I'm sure there's many other examples throughout the world. I think this is pretty default. I think it's kind of what makes the United States. Like, I think Japan has the same kind of thing, and so I wish I had a better vocabulary. Let me ask ChatGPT. Okay. So British institutions historically imposed stronger status-based constraints on occupational mobility and entrepreneurial behavior. The key mechanisms is social class signaling. So Britain developed an unusually persistent class status hierarchy. Class is communicated through accent and vocabulary. Education is school pedigree. Occupation, manners and cultural preferences, family connections, neighborhood, inherited wealth. The result can be a subtle social penalty for conspicuous ambition. So, what a horrible environment to live in. What a horrible society to live in. That's why we see the UK is being overrun by third world migrants, and nobody is starting families, and it's basically a dead, stagnated society. Basically, just a museum. Let's see. That's why all the rich British people leave the UK if they get rich there. They always leave and they come to the United States. So my father has this programming from his earliest years on this earth, and he's brought those values to the United States, which gave him a tremendous disadvantage, and then disadvantaged his children. Because there's a reason neither of his kids finished high school, and his whole family's poor. And he's made his whole family poor, and this is why. So his social upbringing, ambition is punished in the UK, or it was. I don't even know if this is still the same. It is a global financial center, but I saw a documentary on YouTube once about a poor guy from the wrong neighborhood, and I think he was black, trying to get into the finance industry in London, and they said he didn't have enough polish. When he would be turned down for jobs, he would apply for like a high-paying, high-status finance job that he was qualified for because of his education, but they would turn him down. And the reason they would give for not hiring him is they said he doesn't have enough polish. What does that even mean? It means we're reinforcing the social hierarchy, and you come from the wrong school or the wrong neighborhood, and we need to keep things as they are and keep the rich rich, keep the poor poor. It just, maybe that's psychologically comfortable or something. So yeah, what a horrible place to live or grow up. So my father definitely made the right choice coming to the United States, but he should have adopted more of the American values of social mobility. Anybody can make it. Because I remember growing up, we would see like poor. I don't have any specific case of this, but I remember there's just this idea growing up in San Diego that I picked up from the culture that is like, migrants come here from like China, communist China, with nothing but the clothes on their back, and in one generation they're multimillionaires, and you see that's like the American dream. So he's trying to impose this on his family because he thinks it's the right thing to do, but it's really just he's senile, and that's just what he's comfortable with. He's not comfortable thinking both his sons could have been multimillionaires by now and taking him on expensive vacations and getting him the best medical care, because that's what I would have done if I'd had the ability. And I've always thought eventually I'll get rich somehow, just because why not? Like, if you can, you should. It's your social obligation. But apparently in the UK, you're supposed to just mind your, just stay in your social class and don't venture outside that. Don't show any ambition, and your family, the school teachers, everybody around you, authority figures will reinforce that up to I guess disowning their kids because they want to become successful or pursue a career that's not allowed. Like, different careers are like white collar, technical, highly educated. What's the term? Careers that require post-secondary education. That's not for lower class people. That's for, in the UK. That's for people that come from the right neighborhoods, and there's this idea like if your father was a whatever your father's occupation is, that's something you will do. And so that doesn't work in the world we live in today, where half the jobs in the 1960s don't even exist today, probably more. And increasingly, it's a knowledge economy, meaning you need higher education. Like, they're testing automated trucks right now. There's multiple companies that are investing billions of dollars, multiple capital deployments, billions of dollars of capital going into automating trucking. So, like, Why would I pursue that professionally? My kids, if I ever have a kid, they're not going to have a driver license. Like, nobody's going to drive in like 20 years. There won't be human operated vehicles on the roads. Like, or that'll be seen as like a rarity, and eventually it'll be illegal to drive a car on the public roads. So that's all robots that do that. So he doesn't understand the world we live in. He's going senile, and then he's also a narcissist. So anything he can use to justify his abuse to me will be utilized, and this is a way to justify it. But I just got an email from him telling me he sent me a video from YouTube. Signs your adult child is toxic. Yeah, I am toxic. I have toxic metal in my body. But he's also a feminist, my father. He's a feminist. And so I would imagine he's the kind of guy that would let his wife sleep with another man. And, and he's probably into like wife swapping and stuff. And, just a cowardly, cuck is the name, the technical term. I hate insulting him, but I'm not proud of who I come from. I don't really feel like I come from him. I don't really feel like I had a father. I feel like I was influenced just as much by other people's fathers than my own father growing up, because I knew there was something wrong with my father, and that's what this is. This is British value system, or whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to watch this horrible video, 17 minutes, 7 signs your adult child is toxic, and then I'll give a rebuttal. Okay, so the video is talking about narcissistic behavior. So that's the most insulting, implying that I'm a narcissist because I have personal boundaries and I actually want to have a future. Therefore, I must be selfish. I must be a narcissist. So totally disgusting. And this is common abuse tactic by narcissists, is they will try to make their victims think that they have something wrong with them. They're a narcissist, and I'm not a narcissist. You're a narcissist. And it's like third grade playground bullying behavior. But we could clear this up in 5 minutes if we all just agree to go get clinically diagnosed. I mean, I'll get diagnosed with autism spectrum for sure, or Asperger's. And then, my father's definitely a narcissist, definitely, and my mother especially. But definitely malignant narcissist, cluster B personality disorder, for sure. There's no doubt in my mind. And I've spent thousands of hours listening to some of the best world experts on this topic, trying to understand, explain why nothing makes sense in my family. Never did. Nothing made any fucking sense in the slightest. All the moving around, all the career choices my family chose, why there was no fucking food in the house growing up, just crazy insanity. And it's just the worst combination of factors that you could possibly imagine. So I can't even watch this. There's some stupid old lady talking about manipulation, setting boundaries, reclaiming your life from takers. So I'm a taker because I'm dependent on my family. So see, it's this mindset, like, I've never been financially independent from my family. I've been dependent on my family for 39 years. There's been years where I didn't ask them for anything and I was paying rent and not talking to them. But that was a precarious survival scenario, and it always ended up poorly. When you live precariously like that, you are subject to emergencies. And when you live paycheck to paycheck and depend on credit cards, what do you think's going to happen? So he's not taking responsibility. He could have been checking with me and learning about personal finances and giving me advice growing up on how to manage money. We didn't even have an allowance. I didn't graduate high school, but I was literally at $5 to my name when I turned 18. I had zero money and didn't give his sons anything. Like, I can understand if he only gave me, small increments, but he didn't give anything. Zero. And almost like it was a game to see how little he could get away with investing in his kids. And so that's not a father. That's something else. I remember all my friends growing up, they would all have cash and credit cards, shared banking with their family. I never had any of that. So it's just, and then I turned 18, I'm told to get the fuck out of the house and get a job, essentially. It's like, what? I haven't finished high school yet. I got to go to college. So I guess I'll just delay college a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and here we go. So this is just not taking any personal responsibility in the slightest for the outcome of his kids' lives. That's a narcissist. They can't take personal responsibility for anything. They literally don't have the machinery in their mind to comprehend taking ownership of a problem and solving it. And so I have the mind of an autistic engineer, so I come to him like, oh, this is a solution, this is a solution, this is a solution. And he's like, oh, you're just trying to take from me. You're just trying to take. You're just trying to take and take and take. Why would I give this guy anything? I don't have anything to give. Actually, that's not true. I've given this guy millions of dollars in advice over the years. If he had utilized it correctly, how do you put a price on your health? How do you put a price on your life? I've given him millions of dollars in health advice and financial advice and just different resources and things that he would never find on his own, because he doesn't go looking for that kind of stuff, as far as I can tell. But this is insane, telling me I'm toxic and I'm being manipulative, and I'm a narcissist because I have standards because I have a catastrophe that I didn't choose to create. I didn't choose anything. He's forced me into precarious existence my entire life, forced me into living precariously. And you should understand that when you're forced, emergencies happen, problems happen in life. And when you're broke and dependent on credit cards, you can only get so much credit before you max that out. That's what the family's for, the social safety net. So if he didn't want to be a social safety net for me, he should have supported me through establishing my career and becoming financially independent from him. I mean, I sold my car when I was 31 years old to go to China for him because it was a crisis. They couldn't afford to support a low-class standard of living in Sacramento for like a few weeks while I got my certification. So that's a financial crisis. So I had to make a decision. I had to react because I couldn't. They always make their home unavailable to me. So I'm just doing the best I can do with what I've been given, which is less than nothing. The least they should have done was just let their kids have a place to live, wherever they choose to live. And they're always making it impractical, difficult, expensive, painful to live at home. So then they force their kids out of the nest unprepared and set up to be slaughtered by society, set up to be slaughtered in the street. And I'm just done with this abuse. Yeah, my kids would not be allowed to do paid employment unless they had straight A's and they could demonstrate the ability to handle something like that, because you have to finish education first before you enter the workforce. So, especially if it's something hard like STEM. So, absolutely ridiculous. This guy's a fucking moron, and I want nothing more than to be done with this. It's so toxic. Trying to blame me for I didn't choose anything about my situation. I chose to do well in school, but then they weren't supporting me in high school, so it's like, okay, I got to drop out. This is just not going to work. It's just too difficult. The hardest part of going to school should not be getting to the campus or choosing what to wear or getting lunch. Like, that should not be the hardest part of going to school as a high school student. The hardest part should be the course material. So he made things impossible for me, extremely difficult, and so I just had to drop out. And he didn't see anything wrong with that. He basically, he emancipated my brother. Like, what kind of family emancipates their brother, their son? So he's not a father. That's not what a father does. That's a beta cuck simp to his narcissist wife. And I'm just getting really tired of this. He's sending me dealing with narcissists. He's investigating narcissism. He's not realizing he's a fucking narcissist, and his wife's a fucking narcissist, and my brother's a narcissist. I'm not a narcissist. I'm autistic, Asperger's syndrome, which can be, and I've already said in videos on this. On the surface, narcissism, Asperger's syndrome, and narcissism can appear similar, but I'll explain this better. The underlying psychological mechanism is totally different. So he's dealing with an alien person here, and he has no concept, no framework to understand. So he's trying to shoehorn me into a narcissist framework to make sense. He's just stupid to understand. He's created everything about this. I told him 5 years ago when I got poisoned, this is going to be a big fucking problem for me, and therefore a problem for you, because I'm dependent on you. Let's figure this out. And he's not supporting me to get the life-saving essential medical care that I need. If you can't handle a problem for your son that you contributed to Or like I was forced to go to Columbia. I didn't choose to go to Columbia. It's not like I was like, oh, I want to go speak Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. So like every job I ever had was like for him because he couldn't fucking support me to get an education. So the solution here is just disconnecting these abusers and learn from these mistakes. Yeah, because my kid will be supported to do whatever he wants to do professionally, not trying to keep me stacking boxes in a warehouse when I want to go home and program computers, you know. And that was a really high-paying career for many decades, software engineering. And instead of being allowed to do that, I had to worry about matters of survival. That's not what a family is supposed to be. Provide a source of stability and safety, and meet the material needs of the kids. They can grow up into the best adults they can be. So he's not taking responsibility. And the whole time I was in jail, almost everybody in there was from single mother homes without a father. And I realized when you don't have a good father, it really destroys the future of the kids. And absolutely horrible what I'm dealing with now. I can't even wash this trash. It's absolute garbage. So yeah, so that's a convenient, comfortable way to look at things. Oh, I'm not a narcissist. My son's a narcissist. And yeah, how's that working for you? Yeah, I didn't choose anything about my situation, and I am trying to take responsibility though. So my responsibility is just to dictate what my needs are, dictate and defend my needs, and get my needs that I need to be functional with all these crippling problems I've been handed. I didn't choose to be sick. I didn't choose to have a 7th grade education. I didn't choose to have nothing to my name. I didn't choose anything I chose to pursue a technical career and go work in my field. That's what I've been trying to do my entire life. Every job I ever had, I was like, I can't wait to get home and get back to the computer. And I guess he thought I was like playing video games or something. I haven't played video games in my adult life. Never. I've never been able to play video games. I'm just trying to learn, trying to learn and grow intellectually, professionally, and it's hard to do that when you don't have any kind of structure and you don't even know where you're going to live next week. He's made me homeless for 10 years. And he's not taking responsibility. I didn't give up my home. I was forced out of every home I've ever had, forced to due to a circumstance that were beyond my control. And every time I try to take control or come to him with a plan, like this is how I could do my future, and he goes silent. He stops listening. So, and it's just a silly game. I'm really tired of this. It just makes my blood boil. I'm just so tired of this idiot. He really is a fucking moron. I mean, I literally don't think he has an average IQ, below average IQ, which explains all his career choices. Simple things that anybody can do, and it's just disgusting. And I'm not even gonna debate this whether I'm a narcissist. It doesn't even matter even if I am a narcissist. It still doesn't change anything. But I still have to go back trucking. So, you think I'm gonna be eating fast food? Dude, I don't eat fast food, man. Look what it did to my body. I can't be eating processed food. I have to eat real food only. So I don't get to choose what I eat, man. When you give me $200 a week, I don't get to eat real food on $200 a week, especially without a kitchen. That's crazy. So I didn't choose anything about my situation. I'm just trying to get away from these fucking people. I've given them a plan on what I need to get away from them. And it's still precarious. It would have been a lot safer to just support me through college and into my field 10, 20, 15 years ago. But because, driving trucks is a really stupid occupation. You could crash the truck, and if you depend on the truck for your housing, that's really stupid. So typically you have a home, but I'm not allowed to have a home. Not by my choice. I chose to. Engineers in the software world, they don't have money problems typically. It's just that's one of the highest paying jobs. So, and I don't even care. It's just so frustrating. When you force your kid into low paid work, and then he lives precariously and has all these problems caused by lack of access to money, you got to take responsibility for that. That's just part of being a father. So he doesn't know how to be a father. He's a deadbeat moron. I can't stand him. He needs to provide what I need to go back trucking at zero cost to him. I've already agreed to. I'll pay. All this nonsense could be solved if I just had good credits, but I ruined my credit. I checked with him first. I checked with his wife first. I was like, "Are you sure you want me to ruin my credits okay? Because this is going to make me dependent on you for anything that requires credit. And then I'm using credit as an emergency fund because I've never had any savings. My entire life, never had any savings. I've always been paycheck to paycheck, struggling in poverty for him. And I thought that was like the noble, humble thing to do. That's what my father needs me to do. He just needs me to be poor and not try to get any kind of education. Because every time I got education, I got punished severely. Every time I went to enrolled in college, it was like, damn, it's like touching a hot stove. Every time I went to class, it was like, oh, this is going to be painful. And sure enough, it was extremely painful going to school poor and dealing with the poverty that he. So he just takes no responsibility. He's using the legal framework. Yeah, legally, you don't owe your kids anything at 18 legally. You can kick them to the street, I guess, in some states. Other states, like California, have like legal protections for that. But yeah, so that's a pretty shitty thing to do to your family. So not a father, I don't know what he is, just a dope, a dumb idiot. And he's taken 40 years of my life, and I'm just trying to get a footing, just trying to fix my health and start my life finally. And I guess I'll be 50 when I start having a normal life. Yeah, because middle-class suburban 18-year-olds in San Diego, they didn't with the aptitude for technology. They went to university and they went and worked in IT in technology. You know, they didn't go work retail and sale and just all this nonsense that I've done for my family. So infuriating.